meeting of the Grants Committee. Basics. Apologies for absence from councillors. We have apologies from Councillor Rob Isaacs and Councillor Judy Stainthorpe. And we're welcoming Councillor Richard Lees, who is standing in for Councillor Isaacs. Do any of the councillors have any declarations of interest on any of the items coming up? Councillor Garside.
Yes, Taunton Sinfonietta. I'm one of the trustees, and also Gomont Palace Community Trust. I'm one of the trustees.
Thank you very much. Move on to the minutes of the previous meeting. Has everyone had a chance to look at those? And if so, have you got any points to raise, amendments, corrections or comments? In that case, come to have some to propose that you're happy to accept them as an accurate record of the meeting. Alice, do I have a seconder? Councillor Lees, thank you very much. I will sign every page.
Just the last one, all of them, just the.
There's a lot of pages on this one. Bear with me a second. It was a very long meeting. Very much. And moving on to item 4, the budget summary. To open it up. I'd like to introduce Phil.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So as you can see from the April meeting, which was quite a large meeting, we distributed 100% of the venue grant funding block, meaning that there is no longer any funding remaining. We also, in that meeting, we distributed 100% of the sponsorship pot, but we have since had £9,450 wired back over from the community in place budget, meaning that there is £9,450 available. Within the community grants, we have spent 28.9% with £39,100 available. And within our donations, we have spent 30%, meaning that there is £1,750 available with £750 spent. Thank you.
And we will move on to hearing from our applicants. We've got one slight change to the agenda. Is David Northey? So moving item 10, which is the application for the Somerset Bus Partnership, up to the top of the agenda, as David has a limited time to be with us this evening. We are going to give everyone 3 minutes to give a quick presentation. Well, obviously we received your application. We've got 3 minutes just to kind of give us an overview and anything else you'd like to add to your application. So David, would you like to present on the application for Somerset Bus Partnership, which is an application for £2,500 for bus promotional events through the month of August?
Okay from here, or do you want me to? So my name's David Northey. I'm from the Somerset Bus Partnership, but also the lead for the Taunton Bus Users Group. Part of the funding application, as Councillor Amber Packer-Hughes mentioned, was for stalls that we do around the town. So when we have any festivals or events in the town, to raise the profile of the bus network in Taunton. So we have to pay for pitches, we have to print out literature which we give out. But this year we're also looking at something a little different and something better for Taunton. It's something that we produced for Bridgewater. It's individual timetable guides that we would like to do for each of the particular wards around Taunton. So, and we would collect a number of bus routes together. So like the 3, the 6 and the 99, for instance, for Holway, Blackbrook and Killams. The 1 the 23 and the 28 for Priorswood and Knowles Farm. So people that can have a simple and easy guide, which is generally not available. At the moment, First produced this rather large booklet and they struggle to produce it, and it's not as informative as it should be. So we would like to take this example that they've done from Bridgewater, and I can leave you a couple of copies of this if you like, for each of the particular wards, as I said, and we would have some reference to Taunton Town Council in supporting our ambition and campaign for better buses in Taunton. Similar, this is what I've done in Exeter as well. And I think most people would just like a handy little guide for their particular route, rather than having a book for the whole of the county, which is a bit too ambitious and I think won't last forever and a day. So this is part of our new ploy. So not only for the event stores that we have around the town, but also these local sort of timetable guides, which will have professionally done and printed if some funding is available and granted to us. I don't think there's anything else I need to say other than all the funding that we get comes from grants. So we manage the whole of Somerset, and actually Somerset Bus Partnership has been identified and just recently awarded as the best group in the whole of the country for promoting bus travel. We do a lot of work. It's challenging at times, as you all know, and you've probably seen stuff from me in the past, but actually we need to keep raising the profile of our bus network and the bit it plays in the sort of the town really, and grows our economy. And this is the thread that links everything together, whether it's the hospital or the college or just going into town doing shopping. So there we are, 13 seconds left.
Thank you very much. Very well timed. Do I have any questions from the councillors or comments? Councillor Ellis.
Don't you always have a comment? No, I think the bus partnership does amazing work. So it's not just you've got the physical presence in town at busy times so that people can always pick up information, stop and have a chat and interact with you guys, but you're just such a mine of information and knowledge about the whole system. And they go out and they do like little trips and stuff and report on stuff. The Facebook group for the Taunton area is really, really good as well. So it's really a go-to, that's the go-to organisation for info on buses. And without them, I think, you know, bus usage will be in massive trouble. And also because of the feedback gathered that vital bus services have actually been reinstated, that you know, first had been chopped and then they got put back because of their work going out there, interacting with people and really highlighting say on, you know, people unable to get to work, for example. So I think it's a vital, you know, vital service, and I think we should do all we can to support them.
Actually, I had a question.
Yes.
How often are you planning to do these timetables, and how stable are the routes at the moment? Because I'm assuming if you've got relatively small runs, that lends itself to flexibility should there be changes.
Yes. So the timetable generally lasts for there's two periods in 1 year. So we just had April the 20th to the 30th of August, and it will be from the 1st of September right round into April of next year, where the timetable should be fairly static. And once we've got it printed out, but it would be easy if there was a change and we were doing small runs, just to quickly sort of alter the timetable and tailor it for each particular part of the town. I also thought including the park and ride or how-to guide to get from the station to places, as well as how to get to Musgrove Park Hospital as well. So it's an idea that we wanted to start on.
I think it's a fantastic idea, and the fact that you're breaking it into smaller districts does give it that kind of real local knowledge and extra flavour. I know in my particular patch where you listed at Killens, the bus route is still quite new and people don't know where it goes and what times there are because they're so used to not having one. This is going to be really invaluable. I think it's fantastic and so much more practical than the big book.
Yes. Yes.
If you have one thing changed, that's quite an expensive read.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So it seems like a smart idea. Councillor Barside.
Yes, I've just got one question. Where will I find one of these leaflets?
So,
where will they be found in the town?
So the tourist information to start with, always really hungry for information, and they do as soon as I come in the door, they what have you got for me today? So we would certainly go to the tourist information centre. We would also aim to go to any of the sort of local community outlets. So I know in Priorswood, you've got the community hub, and in Wellsprings, the community church, Laxton Road, and maybe the one in Leisure Way. So they can, and if we had enough, we might even do some door-to-door ones as well. And each local councillor could have a nice little.
Thank you so much.
Have any more questions from the panel on this project? It's been suggested that we actually vote as we go along this evening, as we don't have the usual, well, the deluge we had last time, that we actually vote as we go along. So the proposal is to, well, the request is to grant £2,500 on the sponsorship, thank you very much, from the sponsorship application for our sponsorship pot. We do now have the money in the sponsorship pot that we can actually use, thanks to the wiring over from events that aren't taking place. Would someone like to propose? Councillor Ellis, are you proposing that we give the full amount?
Yes.
Do I have a seconder for that proposal? Councillor Lees, all those in favour of awarding £2,500, please raise your hands. That is unanimous. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing these in town clutched in this.
Maybe we'll come for a quote from the town council that we can put in the leaflet, just to show your sort of support. So we'll deal with that as we put these things together. We can share that. So.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
So, do you mind if I depart? Is that
That's
okay?
absolutely fine.
Thank you for allowing me to go a bit earlier. So. Thank you. Another committee meeting.
In terms of the normal running order, so that would be item 5, a general grant application from Fuse Performance. Members are to consider a general grant application for £2,500 from Fuse Performance for 4 workshop days for families in Halcombe and Priorswood. Sally.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank the funding of the last February half term. And following the success of the February half term programme, we had over 100 young people come from all over Taunton into Halcombe to take part in arts, film, animation, dance, contemporary circus. And this application is to widen that because we work very closely with Leslie at the Priorswood Community Centre, with Dee at the Link Centre, and we wanted to extend the programme between August and February. And although it says 4 days, it's split into 8 sessions, so that could be a morning or an afternoon, depending on the need of those areas. I will just read from my application because I'm just getting over a bug, although I'm not contagious, so don't worry. So following the success of the summer activity days and last Emerge Academy half-term workshop programme, Fuse would like to coordinate 4 intensive workshop days to include 8 sessions between August and February half term for young people, communities from across Taunton, developing skills and knowledge that will culminate in a range of activities and new works using different media. So contemporary circus, dance, sculpture, sound and visual installation. So we work very much with visual arts, performing arts and performance on arts combined and site specific practice. Fuse will offer to deliver family activities and co-create with Priorswood Community Centre and the Link Centre, and also Twilight in Goodland Gardens, which falls in March 2026. That was a sponsorship grant, which we're very much appreciative of. These proposed workshops will focus on the process of co-creation, working together, upskilling, working with young people, offering and developing skills relevant to their interests. So we follow through the interests of the young people that we work with. The Emerge programme of workshops in February half term based in Halcombe will bring together young people and young adults from diverse backgrounds from across Taunton and engage them in a workshop programme including contemporary circus, dance, sculpture, sound and visual installations. The costs and the coordination includes hall hire, refreshments, materials, advertising, equipment, and the summer activity days in Halcombe and Priorswood will reach families in those local areas. So that's the overall sort of programme that we're looking to offer for this particular round within 27 seconds to go. So yeah, thank you.
3 minutes is a lot longer than you think it is when you suddenly have to talk.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mike. Do I have any questions from the councillors? Alice?
Fuse does brilliant work and has done for many years, and I think this will be awesome, and I definitely think we should go for it. And it's great that you've got the Holcomb and the Prizewood element in it as well. So those are our two most deprived areas. Those are where we really need to be focusing a lot of investment, and Fuse has got a really great track record of engaging young people and providing pathways and boosting self-confidence, and I just love the work that you do. Where about in Prizewood? So you're going to do some outdoor stuff? Where are you going to base any indoor stuff? Will it be at the community centre or in the community centre itself?
With Leslie. So we worked with Leslie for over 10-15 years now, so it's continuing that relationship and supporting the practice.
I just saw in your application, I was looking for who else you'd contacted, and obviously the organisations you mentioned, but you'd also had approached one of the councillors about the ward member initiative scheme.
Yes,
You contacted
Liam,
Okay.
and unfortunately he wasn't able to contribute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we threw a few projects at him quite early on, so we might have exhausted his funds. And it's worth staying in touch because that is a pot that may well renew again for next year.
Yes, thank you.
So yeah, do stay in touch.
Yeah, do.
So yeah, sorry he couldn't support you through that, but I think that was definitely very positive. Do I have any other questions or comments from the rest of the panel?
I just want to say I think you're doing a wonderful job, and well done for organising something during the holidays. You know, when parents are actually tearing their hair out, I know they are. You know, so you know you're doing a fantastic job. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm really happy with the amount of sessions that you're running. Budget, I think, is fantastic, and the number of young people that are going to be able to access that service. I think it's money well spent to be able to extend that project. So I'm really happy. Do I have someone to make a proposal on this motion? Councillor Ellis, are you proposing that we give the full amount?
I am indeed.
And I have a seconder in Councillor Garside. Thank you very much. And all those in favour, please raise your hands. That's unanimous.
It's wonderful.
Very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Great news.
We'll move. You are free to go. You're welcome to stay.
Yeah, I have to go. I've got a dog with me, so I'm just going to look after the dog. So yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
Move on to item 6, the general grant application for Go Create CIC. Members to consider a general grant application for £2,480 from Go Create CIC for the continuation of 2 art groups for young people. And I can just about sit you behind them.
Does that just work? I'm very good with this sort of thing.
Maybe to hold it a bit closer, but
A bit closer, about there.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm Liz, one of the 3 directors of Go Create. We exist to make the arts accessible to all, seek out, engage, encourage and promote creativity in its many varied forms. And we've been doing this since 2014. We produce festivals, exhibitions and trails. We support local artists via the gallery we've recently opened, but we also provide visual arts and wellbeing workshops, which play a vital role in the community. We're seeking sort of continuation funding to enable us to continue with 2 of our 3 groups. And the grant application is essential to keep us going until the end of September this year, by which time we hope to have secured Arts Council funding, put in an application at the end of June, so everything's crossed. I'd also like to add that we have begun to develop an income stream from like a pay-as-you-go approach for the workshops, not a pay-as-you-go, pay what you can, apologies, and from commission from sales of artwork in the gallery. That has contributed about £1,100 in the last 2 months to Go Create. So that's why our whole sort of project from now until September would be well over £5,000, but our estimated income from the money that people are paying for the workshops and so on, and for the commission from the gallery, is actually meaning that we're not begging for too much. So the Home Ed Arts Award sessions and the Wellbeing Wednesday sessions provide a safe space for those who come along to engage in activity, and this improves the quality of their mental health and their sense of their own well-being, and also allows them to thrive. Both of our weekly workshop sessions, and indeed our Youth Arts Wellbeing, which is funded separately, absolutely change lives in immeasurable ways. We know how essential they are, and I've just received this comment from one of the parents, which it was like, oh, Go Create has been invaluable to my young person and myself since moving to the area some months ago. They went from the start of recovery from a total breakdown in hospital to starting to communicate efficiently through the art sessions in a relaxed and informal atmosphere. To be able to focus on art projects has given them the opportunity to involve themselves in conversation again in a small, friendly, no pressure atmosphere, which they would not get, from some regular sessions. I feel that their personality is coming back again with confidence because of this group. And the atmosphere has actually allowed me to reignite my fondness of art again in a therapeutic way. I cannot recommend highly enough the organisers, art therapists working with us. And also, really quickly, there's a guy came into the gallery on Friday, the history of PTSD and significant trauma, and he was looking for an art session that he could come to slowly build up his conversations with like-minded people. So we were able to tell him all about Wellbeing Wednesday, and we just fingers crossed that we can be continuing through the summer. Didn't catch it. I can't speak fast enough.
Thank you very much. I wouldn't pick you off exactly. It's thank you very much, Liz. Do I have any questions from the panel before Councillor Ellis?
It's not the question, because I'm very, very well aware of the benefit of these programmes that have been running for a couple of years now, and just I know young, for example, for the Homemade Arts Award sessions, you've got a lot of young people who've been chewed up and spat out by the system, and access to any kind of accreditation or qualification is incredibly difficult. And Go Create it provides something that they can't access anywhere else. And I've seen young people thrive through that. There was a big, me and Vanessa were actually remember the exhibition with Connor and Cody at
Yes.
Taunton Library. I mean, these they're really, really genius. So the amount of confidence that programme instills in young people who face all kinds of barriers is incredible. So it's just hugely invaluable. And the Wellbeing Wednesdays as well. I think I've dropped in on the fag end of the odd one, but having the space there, we all know that being able to make art can be incredibly therapeutic, and it's an open, it's for anybody. You don't even have to have a particular characteristics. It's just if you are, you feel the need for some support with your well-being, and that could be for all different reasons. There is that space available to you, and it's a lovely vibe and just has such a positive impact on the community. So these are programmes we need to continue in Taunton for a long time to come.
Yeah, I just want to second that. I so agree with everything that Councillor Ellis has said. I think these are wonderful programmes, and I think they are invaluable to our community. And I also think your gallery is absolutely brilliant, because I love to come and show off that we have so much talent in Taunton, and I think it's a great project for actually flaunting Taunton's talent, but also for making money for your Go Create. And I think well done for all the effort and all the work that you and Jenny put into it. Fantastic. Thank you.
I just had a practical question just to confirm. I think we funded something similar, I think 2 years ago. Am I right that you had the same situation where your funding had come to an end in the spring, and then you were waiting for that?
Yeah,
it's continuation funding from the Arts Council. Is that cyclic?
It's really difficult, because we've had 3 quite large funding applications turned down over the last sort of 18 months. And when we applied to the Arts Council last time, it was to go for about 18 months. And we're coming to the end of that, and we made an application to the lottery and to the Paul Hamlin Foundation, and I can't remember what it was, but we didn't get any of those. So we've since been sort of just scrabbling around trying to keep this going, because every time we say we might not be able to continue, of course the people that come along are some of them on the wellbeing Wednesday are absolutely in despair. You know, you can't stop. Because I think it's really simple thing, like we get them when they come in to fill in like a little thing, the feeling figures. So how are you feeling out of 10 when you come in? And you know, and most people it's sort of like 5, 6, 7, and then we get them to complete it again on the way out. And usually it's, I mean, it's crazy, it's like 9, 10, 11. With the young people they put 1,000, you know, but it does just give them that space and the safe space, which, you know, and I'm sorry, you know, we do need to, we're having a meeting with the local Arts Council representative to try to work out a way of us having a sort of a continue, you know, for a longer term rather than just to keep applying for project grants from them as well. So that's, you know, we are trying to get ourselves in a better financial position.
No, I appreciate it. It's quite tricky to kind of keep going on the grants. Very
It just takes so long to do. That's the.
Councillor Ellis.
I was just coming with a comment.
Yeah.
Me and Councillor Garside are very desirous of getting certain organisations who we consider part of the local portfolio off that treadmill, because if you keep coming back, we want these things to continue. I'd be very interested. So there may be a proposal coming to a future, probably not this committee, but another one, about the local portfolio, people who don't have venues but who are providing essential cultural services. I don't know whether you anything that you're discussing with the Arts Council, if we can add it, if we can help in any way, you know, in terms of that discussion with them, please let us know.
Yeah, I haven't, it's not actually physically organised yet, but Jackie's supposed to be sorting something out because he's been meeting. So we're hoping, fingers crossed, that that will come about.
Back to the application at hand. Do we have any more questions? This particular application. Welcome to Councillor Furman. Unfortunately, I think per the rules, you weren't here for the discussion on this item, so sadly I don't think you're allowed to vote in this one, but we'll welcome you to the next one. If there's no more questions or comments on that application, do I have anyone who'd like to make a proposal? Councillor Ellis, it's fine to always be first, it's okay. Is your proposal for the full amount requested?
Yes, it is.
Do I have a second of that proposal? Councillor Garside, or let's count Councillor Soolies for the record. Share it about a little bit. And that would be for £2,480. All those in favour of granting that amount, please raise your hands. Unanimous. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much. That we can just go, oh, okay. we can manage over the summer. Thank you very much, everybody.
On to item 7, which is a general grant application from the overage allotments. Members to consider a general grant application for £2,500 from the overage allotments for the purchase of a new lawnmower.
Hello, my name is Kevin Day. I am the chairman of Overage Allotments, and the funding application we've made is for a ride-on mower. And I do apologise, I meant to actually send this in the application. It's a map of the site, and highlighted in yellow are the tracks which need regular mowing, not at the moment, obviously. We currently cut them with a push mower. So each of the tracks which you can drive a car up, it takes 5 or 6 passes up and down, as well as the other tracks around, meaning that one of the committee members, who were all volunteers, takes about 3/4 of a day to actually cut all the tracks when they need doing. I appreciate they don't all need doing at the same time. However, that's a lot of pushing on a normal mower. So the funding is for a ride-on mower, which will mean it could be done in like 2 hours. The currently they're petrol mowers. There's no electricity on site, so we cannot recharge anything. So we have to spend money on the fuel. Now all the plot holders in between their plots have to actually mow the bit around their plots and the paths. So the funding is for the mower, a metal shed, which you'll require, and a police approved lock. We currently we had a break-in recently where they stole a mower and a strimmer. So we're now down to actually 2 mowers for the site, which is actually quite a large site. So the members have supported our application via me to actually put this proposal forward, and hopefully will be granted. The other thing we want to install in the metal shed would be obviously a metal box for storing the fuel, so it'd be nice and safe, which we currently do for the push mowers, along with a fire extinguisher from a health and safety perspective as well. So it would greatly enhance. One of our terms under the lease from yourselves is actually that we keep the site clean and tidy, and we do, but it's a lot of effort for 1 or 2 of us on the committee to actually do all that. Okay, so if we're successful, the mower would be used only by the committee, of which there are currently 5 of us, and it will be cleaned after each use, regularly serviced, and the grass clippings would then be composted from an environmental point of view as well. So I think with about 17 seconds to go, that's what I'd like to say. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much. I think I'm going to dive into the question first, if that's all right. So Councillor Ellis feeling she has to go first again. I think we'd ask you for some extra information about the security of it, because obviously it's going to be an expensive piece of kit, and you've had theft issues before. So it's really good to see that the shed is in there and it's going to be police proved and hopefully very secure.
Absolutely.
But actually my question is about the funding. It looks like there's a possibility they might come in under the amount requested, is that right? Have you just kind of, have you asked for the maximum just in case?
Yes.
Essentially.
Yes, when I put it out to the members, they actually said, in the nicest possible way, if you don't ask, you don't get. I appreciate that. I've also got a picture of a ride-on mower. I'm sure you know what they all look like, but something like that you can currently get for about £1,600, including the VAT. A metal shed would be about £300, something like that. So perhaps I was a little bit cheeky for the members to actually say, could we have that much? But anything would greatly assist.
That's absolutely fine. Councillor Furman.
Thank you. Apart from the locks, do you have any other security within the sheds? I was thinking at the place I work, you can install trail cams, which are normally used to watch nature, but you can obviously use it for security as well. They don't run on a grid power source, so they can be battery. So I don't know if that's something you've considered as well.
It was something that was mentioned to me over the weekend, actually, and somebody else also mentioned if we were able to lay a concrete base within part of the funding, therefore it's going to be much safer than just going on the ground, to actually drill through it and install some chains where the mower could then be secured to it on the concrete base. So again, with only the committee using it, we would know exactly what we had to do to, unlock it and everything else. So that was a couple of things that were mentioned to me only over the weekend when I said I was coming this evening. Said, "Oh, mention this." So yes, that's something that has been mentioned. Yes.
Thank you.
Do I have any more questions, Councillor Ellis?
Not really a question. It just seems like a really, good thing to fund. Very, very practical. I don't know how many years these ride-on mower things last, but it'll make the whole site more accessible. Save you an awful lot of effort. So I think it's a bit of a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. We need to support our allotments. Allotments are a great thing. Anything we can do to make them run more smoothly and efficiently and save energy and all the rest of it. Obviously, we're really, really keen on that. You mentioned that you might be able to do, like, if you could do the sort of concreting in the chain. So actually, even if your mower came in at 1,600-ish and the shed 400-ish, there might be, you might need the full amount. And obviously, if people don't spend the full amount, they can return the thing afterwards, isn't it?
Yes.
So you might need that bit extra if you want to do those extra bits with the concreting in the chain, even buy some trail cameras.
Okay. Thank you. May I just add, actually, we do have this year we've actually taken on a lot of new members. Other they've either fallen by the wayside or they've left of their own accord, whatever. We do have a lot of families there, so we do have a lot of children. We also have some people in wheelchairs or family members who bring their their loved ones up in wheelchairs. So mowing the grass, if it's not kept down, it can become a bit of a hazard. So it's something we obviously wish to minimise.
Have any more questions or comments? I'd like to make a proposal that we offer the full amount requested, but with the proviso that you look at those additional security measures that we discussed, including the solid base and chain option for kind of firmly fixing the device to the floor, and maybe explore the use of whether there are kind of solar powered or battery operated security cameras that might enhance that if they would come within the budget.
Sure. So yeah.
Okay, to shorten what I've just said into something sensible. The first bit before I ramble. So the full amount on proviso that you do look at those additional security options. Councillor Vernon,
I'll second it.
thank you very much. All those in favour of that proposal? That is unanimous.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Again, you are welcome to stay. You are also free to go. It's entirely up to
I'd
you.
like to stay if that's okay.
You are very welcome.
Thank you.
Next, we move on to item 8, which is a general grant application from Somerset Archaeological and Natural History Society. Members to consider a general grant application for £2,500 from Somerset Archaeological and Natural History Society for the purchase of a new film projector and sound system.
Thank you. My name's Lizzie Deane. I'm current chair for SARS, as we call it. And yes, we would like to apply for a projector for the Wyndham Hall. The Wyndham Hall is a funny little building. It's owned by the Society, and it's next to the Castle Museum. And most people won't have noticed it because it's just right at the side. It looks like an old electricity substation. But if you go inside, what you notice is it's got the most wonderful raked seating, and it has a little stage at the bottom end. And we want to make it useful, not just for the Society, but for the good people of Taunton. One of the things we have been using it for recently is as an independent cinema. And but this has been run by Eddie Gaines, who's been incredibly supportive of the Society, and we run that once a month. But also we are now starting to get requests from people outside of the Society and as part of Taunton, and they would also like to show films at the Wyndham Hall, which is an excellent thing. However, we can't keep relying on Eddie to provide his own equipment. He's really kind, and he's been doing that quite a lot recently, but he comes all the way from Wiveliscombe. And last time he did show a film, he forgot his leads and he had to go all way back to Wivy to pick them up. And he just looked so exhausted. And I thought, right, we need to be able to stand on our own 2 feet, and we need to start getting a projector system that isn't just run by experts, but for people like me, so that we can show films for everybody. We've had inquiries already from Taunton Town Council. I know that, your mayor, Strauss, is very keen to do a film, The Longest Day, with the Twinning Association, and a lady that I only know as Tilly White Christmas, I don't know if that's their full name, but that's how it comes up on the email, wants to do something for the refugees in Taunton. We would like to support that, but we don't feel we can ask Eddie to do that. It wouldn't be very fair. So that is really a really good way of helping everybody use the building, because it's it's right in the middle of Taunton. It's not been used for a long time, and it'd be a really nice use of that building.
Thank you very much. Do I have any questions from the panel? Councillor Fermin.
Thank you. Yes. Will it be the full 2,500 you'll be spending on this?
I think so, although I wanted to make sure I put in my application quite late, so I didn't have time to choose a specific projector, but I want to talk to Eddie to make sure that we get the right sort of projector, that we can use it, and they do tend to cost about that amount. I don't think there's enough money there to have a full sound system to go with it, but eventually I'm going to be looking for other funding in other places to support that.
Okay.
Lovely. So on your application, it says the project is likely to cost about £10,000.
I would have thought
in total.
Yeah, I think that's quite realistic, and this would only be part of that.
would it be a functional system?
I don't know.
If you had without the other £7,500 worth of additional.
Yes, yeah, because we can always show the films, but we can probably get Eddie. Meanwhile, while we keep building up the whole set, who will support us. He's very kind.
Bolt on
bits as we go along. Yes.
Councillor Ellis.
Not really a question. I'm very familiar with Wyndham Hall. I think it's fab, well done for the work that you've done restoring it. It has got a certain vibe. Very, very Taunton. It's a great part of our heritage. It's great to see the Wyndham Picture House.
Oh yeah.
You know, saying we can't get a cinema in Taunton. Like, so well, have you heard of the Wyndham Picture House?
Absolutely.
So I think it's brilliant, and I can quite see it being massively well used. So I think this is a really good use of public money in terms of the benefit that lots of different groups will get out of it. Really good.
So that's like,
Yeah, I'd just like to say, yes, I've heard very, very good reports of people who watched films in the Wyndham Hall and had a lovely, lovely evening and really
free
enjoyed
cups of
it.
tea.
Yes, absolutely. You know, because it
And we
does.
want it to be a welcoming space.
It is.
And we do
it
get all
is.
kinds of people come in, and that's fine. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I heard.
yeah, lovely. That's good.
in terms of promotion, is this something that the town council officers have been able to offer you?
Yes, they have actually, because I did say one of the things that we struggle with at SANS, because our members are like dead old, so they don't know about social media. But we have had offers from the town council to help us with advertising, and of course we're very familiar with the tourist information, who are also immensely supportive of us, and they know Eddie anyway, so they look after him.
Fantastic. It should be really good to publicise the venue as much as possible.
Absolutely, I do the best.
Lovely. As long as you're making use of the team already, that's good to know.
Thank you.
Any more questions from the panel? Or would anyone like to make a proposal? Councillor Lees, are you proposing the full amount?
Yes, I am.
You are?
Yes,
Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Ellis? Do all those in favour, please raise your hands. That is unanimous. Thank you very much. We look forward to seeing lots of movies.
I'm so excited so much.
Good luck with raising funds for all of the panels.
There's always more work to do.
Happy to be the ones that get the things rolling.
Thank you.
We now move on to item 9, which is a general grant application from the Cultural Links Community CIC. Members to consider a general grant application from Cultural Links Community CIC for £2,500 for core costs to provide services to refugees and asylum seekers in the form of career coaching, CV and job search advice. Do we have someone from the Cultural Links? No. Okay. Just get that open. We have them here to make a presentation, but does anyone have any comments on the application or any thoughts on it to discuss with the panel?
Yeah, I wasn't particularly clear of whether they actually are based in Taunton. Is this a Taunton-based organisation?
Well,
Yeah, they are based in Taunton, and all of that work is within Taunton as far as I'm aware.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Councillor Ellis.
I had to Google them because I hadn't heard of them before, shockingly, but they've got a Facebook page. So they clearly have been doing, I think they've done stuff in Yeovil, they've done stuff in Bridgewater, and they've started doing stuff in Taunton, but all of the directors are based in Taunton. I did a little bit of research prior to, so I've liked their Facebook page so I can kind of follow what they're up to. And I think they became a CIC earlier this year, but I think they've been operating prior to that. So they, I mean, because I don't know, when I don't know an organisation, I know most organisations, so we sort of, I get a bit flummoxed when I have like, oh, who's this? So I had a bit of a Google and research, so that all looks okay. There was one question I had about, was it when they said, have you notified the town of Sanctuary? Which question is that on the form? There's a question on the form. I just wondered what I would have, hoping they would be here so I could ask them what sort of relationship, how do they work with Charis and yeah, 26.
Yeah.
I would have wanted to ask them, how do they kind of coordinate and work with Charis and Taunton Welcomes Refugees and other refugee organisations? I from my Googling, it looks to me like it might have been established by Ukrainian refugees or actual people who are actual refugees who are now looking to help that community, which is really interesting and really positive. But yeah.
Answer a bit of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that they are Ukrainian refugees themselves, and they have had some conversations with Caris and Taunton Welcomes refugees, but I'm not sure how much of their work overlaps and what they're doing to address that overlap. That's, yeah, I have had a meeting and conversation with them, but
Oh right.
that's as far as I got.
Councillor Ellis.
It may be that Charis maybe and Taunton Welcome refugees maybe serve a slightly different, you know, I mean, maybe they definitely have Ukrainian people involved with them, but they're probably more broader. But this, it seems to me as well, is like quite broad as well. So it's not like limited, is it, to a very specific group? It's like anybody who,
I believe it's,
everybody. Is it literally everybody in the community?
I think it's refugees and asylum seekers.
Refugees and asylum seekers.
Councillor Fernand.
Will this event be used to sort of, more formal recruitment of volunteers, or is it just about making awareness of the organisation and things it does?
So it's actually a breakdown. Shall we go through the breakdown of costs, which they have, which totals the £2,500. So within that is venue hire for Westmonton Village Hall, £31.50 per Saturday. Weekly sessions held every Saturday for 1 year. The 52 weeks of that is £1,638. Session delivery support materials, so printing, stationery, activity resources for ESOL, Career Club, Ukrainian School, etc. It's £450. Marketing and promotion, so flyers, social media ads, QR codes, posters to regional residents, £300. Refreshments for participants, £112 for the 52 weeks. And that totals £2,500. So a combination of venue hire, course costs, promotion and refreshments for a year's worth of sessions. It's worth bearing in mind that the venue hire they are looking at is Westmonton, which is just outside our patch, but I believe that the target audience will be predominantly people who live in Taunton catchment. Councillor Fernand, then I'll come to you, Councillor Ellis.
I guess with that, you could, do we know whether they've applied for any funding from Westmonton Parish Council?
Just checking.
As per their application form, they haven't said they've applied to any other funding, for any other funding, should I say. Yeah, so with that, they also stated that the project would still go ahead if the grant wasn't successful.
Okay.
Councillor Ellis.
Yeah, so if I got this right, it's good to have, when you've got a community, I know because I do this, you've got that consistency of there being something, a regular time and a regular place where, you can go and then be people, birds and feather and what have you, and you can get support. So it seems to me like it's, if I've read this correctly, that 3 hours is a combo of English as a second language, whatever it is, whatever you call it, ESOL, some careers advice, employability stuff, and then also sort of socialising. So it's packing quite a lot in. So from that point of view, it seems like rather good value. And I imagine they've gone for the Westmonton Village Hall because that's a rather good rate. So it's to keep costs low. I just wish I knew more about them, but it seems like a good project.
I think we could possibly request that they make slightly more contact with the sneeze coming. It'll come out when I expect it. We have those extra questions regarding the city, refugees and so on, and asylum seekers and the city of sanctuary, because we have signed up to that, and we want to encourage all of the charities and organisations that support refugees and asylum seekers to coordinate, because they can generally have a greater effect when they are coordinating with each other. So I think if we do grant them the money, I think if we can put a request in that they do work alongside the existing town sanctuary group, just to make sure their efforts are best coordinated and reach the widest possible audience amongst that community. Make sure they're not kind of overlapping, or they might be able to tap into services and skills that the other organisations have that will support them better.
Yes, I think they should also contact the people who were running Diversity Voice last year to find out about their experience as well, because that might be a help, because they were doing a similar kind of thing. Sorry. No, they're now kind of amalgamated with Somerset Council.
Any more comments or thoughts? Anyone would like to make a proposal? Garside.
Yes, I would, because we're a sanctuary town, as we said, and also I think it's a very good project. I think refugees, helping other refugees is actually amazing, and it also gives a kind of sense of purpose and a reason. I don't know, being able to give something to the community enables them to fit in better. I know this because my mum was a refugee, and I know that she liked to do things with the community to help other people, because it made her feel as if she belonged.
So is your proposal
to give them the full amount?
Full amount requested.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder for that proposal? Alice? All those in favour of granting the full amount? I think that's unanimous. Councillor Richard Lees, was that a hand up? Thank you very much, just checking. That was unanimous. Okay. We'll just, I think, liaise with them about their contact with the town sanctuary. And we've already discussed item 10, so we get to skip on to item 11, which is a sponsorship application from Taunton Sinfonietta. Do we have someone here from Taunton Sinfonietta?
I'll move round to myself.
If you come in the vicinity of a microphone, I think they are all switched on.
Automatically.
Yes. Yeah. Magic. Thank you very much. I think your 3 minutes starts imminently.
Well, thank you very much for asking me here to talk to you about it. You do have our application, so I'm hoping that you've all read it and understood it. In 1984, a gentleman called Hugh Bushell started Taunton Sinfonietta because there was such little good quality live music here at all. The orchestra was quite successful and it ran for years, but unfortunately he died, and the next chair who took it over was their cellist, and he was mainly interested in playing rather than actually running the orchestra in a proper managerial way. The orchestra started to fail, and whereas it had been self-financing, it then it didn't, and it was to have closed last December. Several of us feel that having our own wonderful live music professional orchestra here in Taunton is a wonderful asset, and we didn't want to lose it. So some of us got together and have formed a committee, and we hope to get the orchestra back up and running, and with a little help from yourselves, and who knows, hopefully a few others like the Castle Hotel, who have agreed to host our first concert. We do hope eventually that we can get it back onto a self-funding footing, which would be good. The sort of musicians we use are not those who just have a bit of fun once a week and play what they fancy. These people are people who've been trained properly. Our musical director is a product of the Menuhin School, and we can't just pay them a pittance for their work and for their industry. So we do try to pay them a reasonable fee. I hasten to add, though, as yet we haven't been able to give them the full Musicians' Union rate, but we hope that this will be a tremendous asset to Taunton, especially when you have visiting dignitaries from abroad, when you've had the exchanges. I know often councillors go abroad and are entertained by town orchestras and bands on the continent, and we hope that we can reenact Taunton Sinfonietta so that you will be able to have that same facility here. I think that's about all I can say in the time allotted. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Do I have questions from the other councillors? Councillor Ellis.
Yeah, no, I'm very much behind, you know, resuscitating Taunton Sinfonietta. It was a bit alarming when I heard, oh, it might not exist anymore, because I know how much it's done in the town in the past. So, like, for example, when Somerset Opera did this amazing Dido and Aeneas at the Museum of Somerset, incredible opera, which just amazing, but they had a partnership with, guess who, Taunton Sinfonietta, and that amazing concert at Temple Methodist Church a few months ago, that was the Taunton Sinfonietta and Friend. That was just brilliant. So I think they have a really important part to play in Taunton's cultural life, really important. So I definitely, anything that we can do, and well done to you guys for sort of stepping in and saying, no, this is not happening. We're not letting this just, you know, go to the dogs. Well, no, we're going to save it. So my question would be around the, so it's an event at the Castle Hotel. Is it, so how many, just some information about what the event itself is going to look like. How many people is it for? Is it ticketed?
When
all of that.
For, do you mean how many musicians will be performing or how many people will be watching?
Both. Ish, both.
Well, obviously it depends on funding. We had 2 possible programmes. One will be a quintet, if funding is not as much as we would like. The other one will incorporate more musicians, and depending on what musicians you can afford depends on the programme that you can put on, obviously. We do have a gentleman coming from Israel, and he is going to play his cello with the musicians. If the bigger the orchestra, of course, the nicer it will be, but if we can only manage the quintet, sorry, he will be playing with them as a guest. The Castle Hotel have kindly offered to put the event on. I understand that you will possibly be having some guests in the town in any case, and they obviously will be very welcome to attend. We think that the venue can possibly seat up to 100, depending on how much room the orchestra will need, but 80 to 100 I think is comfortable. Did you ask me anything else? I can't remember.
I forget what I've asked sometimes. No, it's just about, is it going to be sort of ticketed, or is it about low cost tickets so that you're kind of building up a bit of a stash for the future? So this is the way I see it. It's like seed funding to kind of relaunch something that probably could be, as it was before, potentially more or less self-funding in the future.
That's our potential aim, to be self-funding, so that we don't have to keep coming back to you and saying, please, have you any spare cash? But to get the orchestra turned round from a base of nothing, because I think they had £500 left in the bank, which doesn't go very far with all the overheads that there are to run an orchestra, not just the musicians, but I'm sure you know yourselves, the admin and the tickets and everything costs such a lot of money. Yes. I want to say something, sorry.
No, I was just going to ask a question. How many concerts or events are you aiming to put on a year if you do get set up?
We used to put on 1 a quarter, which is for a year. And that was apparently quite doable. Please don't forget, I had nothing to do with the running of it then, and I have been arm twisted into doing what we can now to keep it going. We would like to say that we would be aiming for 1 a quarter, and they would be themed to whatever was decided in association and with the musical director, of course, as well, because everything is relatively leaning on something else. If we don't get the money in, then we can't have an orchestra at all. If we get some money in, we can perhaps do a quartet. If we get lots of money, perhaps we could get back to a chamber orchestra, which is what we used to have. And it, I think, was a great asset to the town. It would be such a shame to lose it. And can I just, without wanting to waste your time, can I just say one thing? I was listening to the radio the other day, and there was a new teacher talking about the first time he went into his class to teach music. He was a classroom teacher, and he had a lot of tough boys, and he asked, who of you boys actually listened to classical music? You can imagine the response he got, nobody. And he said, well, I'd just like you to listen to this. And he played, I can't remember what it was, I think it was The Lark Ascending, a sublime piece of music which really can touch the heartstrings. And the boys were quiet and they listened, and he said, who would like to hear that again? And a few put their hands up. He said, you've been listening to classical music. Now tell me, who doesn't like some form of classical music? And he got through to them and they all said, yeah, we'll listen to it, we'll give it a go. So I do feel that, you know, if we can get this going, there is also a very big educational leap that we can make to the younger generation. After all, the younger generation are our future, which is why I'm also looking for a young chair to take my place. I know I'm not the right person, but we can only do what we can do. But I really feel this has got to go out to the younger generation because they're our future.
I just have one question. Yes. I'm looking through the breakdown of the budget, which is nice and simple, so thank you. You've got the payment for musicians, publicity, and then you've got £500 of venue and catering. And I just wanted to confirm, because I think you said that the castle were going to host.
Yes, there have been ongoing negotiations, shall I say. When they decided they would like to host us, they also said we'd really like the castle to be the Castle Hotel, home of Taunton Sinfonietta. Now, if we can build on that, that would be wonderful. But of course, they're a commercial business. They need something out of it. And at the moment, the possibility is that they will put on refreshments and take the profits of that. And we will have the venue for free. That's the possibility at the moment.
Right, but it's not confirmed as yet. So that £500 in the budget is for the venue that you may or may not get for free this time.
There are so many hidden costs, I would hasten to add. I don't need to tell you, do I? Just admin is hugely expensive. We've got to redo our website because that is about 40 years old. I have made some other applications, but before I could do them, I had to update the constitution, which hadn't been updated in 40 years. I had to bring in safety policies and so on, because they'd never heard of these things. What do we need those for? So it's really been such an uphill struggle, and getting the budget together was also an uphill struggle.
Yeah, I'd absolutely appreciate that. I was wondering if it would be fair to say, just to manage expectations then, that it's possible you might get a venue for free, but that £500 element of that, there's umpteen other things that you could have put in there instead of that will still be an expense to the orchestra to get it back where it needs to be.
Yes.
Question back to you guys on the panel. So if it turns out the castle say, yeah, no, don't worry, Brenda, we're not invoicing you for the cost of the venue, and they you know, they serve whatever wine and what have you and make a bit of money through it, off of it that way, can Brenda then, if she does she need to notify somebody saying, actually we actually have got this other cost associated with the event that we need to spend on this? Is that okay if she just wait till the end of grant, if she got the grant, wait till the end of grant report to do that? Or how much does it have to sort of vary off the original amount before you have to sort of say, oopsie, we actually need to spend this on something else related to it, but not exactly what we said.
Are you happy to feel that?
Yeah, so my reaction to that would be that we can award it on a condition that the funding be held specifically for a different purpose. So we award it and then say there's other costs later on that we can award it to that. That makes sense.
I think so. I'm also, this is a sponsorship application, and the terms of sponsorship are actually slightly looser. So in a sense, we would be sponsoring Taunton Sinfonietta to the tune of potentially £2,500. And this is the detail you provided, but actually with the sponsorship, I think actually would have the freedom to be able to use those funds for
Would be very helpful.
associated costs, but I think we would still require.
Yeah, I was think that so long as it's communicated throughout what you're doing, what those costs are, and then reported back in the end of grant report, that should suffice. It's just having the clarity and transparency throughout the entire process as to what that money's going towards.
Yes, yes.
Just in case if it goes on something completely different than the venue, it's good to clarify now that there are other things that it would go towards that are equally worthy.
It's for me personally, it's a tremendous undertaking, but I do hope that we can get it off the ground, and I do hope somebody more qualified and better able than I come along and take this on, because you know, we really don't want to lose it. It's such an asset to the town.
Any further questions? Would anyone like to make a proposal at this stage? Councillor Ellis.
I'd like to propose we give the full amount requested
As sponsorship.
as sponsorship.
The Taunton Sinfonietta. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Lees. In that case, all those in favour of awarding the full amount requested? And do I have any abstentions? Any against?
No, I'm not allowed.
She's not allowed to vote.
This is
Just
just
as
go on board.
Thank you very much for remembering that you're not allowed to vote on the councillor Garside. But that motion is carried.
Can I just say on behalf of the new trustees that we've managed to gather in, we're very grateful, and we hope we won't let you down at all.
Please do send all the information about your concerts over so that the council can support you appropriately.
And if you find somebody better able than I am to chair it, I'd be very grateful.
Don't do yourself down, Brenda Pender.
No.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I'm going to have to go.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
for
you very
staying.
much indeed.
Can I just tell you that our latest member of Taunton Sinfonietta board is actually Craig Stone.
That's the man on the inside.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so Brenda did a great job at persuading him.
What can I say? It's great to have him on board. Somebody younger, that's what we need. And I was just very grateful that he said yes.
Thank you very much. So we move on to the next item, which is item 12, which is another sponsorship application for Critical Moment Theatre CIC. Members to consider a sponsorship application from Critical Moment Theatre CIC for £2,494 for a play, reading and workshop celebrating LGBTQ+ culture within Taunton, taking place on the 20th of September 2025. Application open. I believe we don't have anybody from that organisation here this evening, so my apologies. Thank you very much, Will. Do I have any comments or questions on this application? Councillor Ellis.
I'm very keen on this application because we had some discussions when Laura Batcher was the culture officer. She made me aware that this guy was really keen on doing this project in Taunton, and it's a story, and I didn't realise this. I've got however many children, and a significant proportion of them are LGBTQ. So I did not realise the struggle for LGBTQ plus where I started in Taunton, and that's like a story that I think needs to be told. And this is the guy and the theatre company that can tell it. And so I'm just absolutely intrigued. And I just love the fact that, you know, we could support this and enable the sort of play, reading and development of this play to happen here in conjunction with 2BU, who are based here, who do incredible work with young LGBT people. So I'm really excited about this. We haven't had a Pride this year. Luckily, Michelle at the Independent Market, bless her, did a Pride edition, but we haven't had that. And I just think it's a really important part of our history, and then people won't have been aware of the role Taunton has played. So we might as well shout about it, and we might as well, you know, get on and support something like this. So they're a really good company. I think this is a really, really good project. I think it's a really important project, not just for the our LGBTQ plus community, but also for Taunton as a whole, to understand our role in history making. And it's, you know, ties in with our values as a council. Yeah, I'm just really excited about it.
Very much, Councillor Ellis. Councillor Garside.
Yeah, I would agree, endorse everything that Councillor Ellis has said. Plus, I think, you know, bringing a new play and somebody who is a new creator on the scene is part of being a vibrant culture. This is what we're aspiring to, and this is the kind of thing we should be encouraging, you know, so I'm very much in favour of it as well.
I had some thoughts about this when I initially read the application, and I did wonder about the fact that it's not the actual audience capacity is not that huge for the cost of the production. However, the estimated total audience with the online engagements is huge, and I'm really aware through I was until very recently a trustee of 2BU. I'm really aware that there are so many people in the LGBT plus community, particularly young people, who don't feel comfortable coming out and participating in events like this because they aren't themselves out, they're not necessarily that comfortable with doing something in a public space. So actually having the capacity to welcome those people online in a way that they feel comfortable joining in, I think is actually really, really important. So there's scope to actually include so many people who can benefit from this outside of the scope of the physical play reading. I think that's fantastic. Do we have any more comments, questions, concerns about this application? Very much. In that case, do I have someone who would like to make a proposal? Councillor Ellis.
Councillor Ellis would like to propose that we award the full amount they asked for.
Do you want to have a second over that proposal? Councillor Garside, thank you very much. All those in favour of awarding the full sponsorship for this particular event? That is unanimous. Thank you very much. Look forward to finding out more about it when it happens, because I believe that is also going to be in sort of the vicinity of Taunton together. Is that right? Dates before in the general.
Yes.
Hopefully we can assist with some promotion in a kind of.
No, it's a good idea. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And then we are on to the final item, the sponsorship application from the Gaumont Palace Community Trust. Members to consider a sponsorship application from Gaumont Palace Community Trust for £2,500 to host 2 public launch events to attract sponsors for the purchase of the Gaumont Palace. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, councillors and officers of the council. My name is Chris Wadilove. I speak on behalf of the Gaumont Palace Community Trust. Very important moment for us. We are fully constituted as a community trust, full board of directors, code of governance, etc. And we have an absolutely clear mission. That is to acquire ownership of the Gaumont Palace, to bring it back to the very centre of Taunton's arts and entertainment sector as a premier performance venue. We are ready to launch ourselves in the community to harness all the support that we know is out there by building up a membership through the sale of shares so that we can become self-sustaining in a way in terms of funding. But we need help to get started. Hence this application for grant funding from the council to enable us to announce our arrival as part of Taunton's cultural landscape in an appropriate style. A weekend of events showcasing professional and non-professional local bands and artists in a variety of venues, providing opportunities for fun and frolicking of all kinds, all absolutely free. Hence our bid, which comprises £1,500 towards the costs of the artists, £700 for the hire of venues and £300 for publicity. As a community trust, a not-for-profit company, all the money we raise by definition will go to benefiting the community, and how the community would benefit from being able to return to this iconic building in numbers, with a heritage as one, as one of the great rock music venues of the 60s and 70s, with its magnificent Art Deco interior. We will seek accommodation with Mecca Bingo, either by finding a way of coexisting in the building or by finding an alternative location for them. We do not begrudge them use of the building, of course, but we are concerned at the huge underuse of the facilities that are potentially part of that building that their tendency represents. With 1,200 seats, the Gaumont would and should become the proper concert hall this town has needed for years. We respect the extraordinary achievements of other arts venues in the town, the Brewhouse, Kick, Tacky Morris, etc., which have survived the rigours of COVID, and we will not be competing with them in their domains. Our intention is to make the Gaumont Palace the #1 music venue for Somerset, Dorset and Devon, enabling us to attract bands of national and international standing, including symphony orchestras and big bands. By doing this, we would have a really positive effect on the local economy, generating a footfall in the town, which would substantially benefit the whole hospitality sector. Please give us the hand we need to be born. Thank you.
Very much. Do I have any questions from the panel?
I don't know if there'll be a question coming because this is sponsorship, isn't it? So
Sponsorship.
as we've determined previously, there's a bit more flexibility around how you spending the money. So I think this is great. I love the title, "The Party for the Palace." I think this is a kind of popular, basically a popular movement the Gaumont Palace Community Trust has been born out of, but they've made some key steps. So for example, they've applied for the Gaumont Palace to be a asset of community value. That is really quite key, because if you want to hold on to that venue, you need to have that kind of basic protection in place. Although Somerset Council have said if they were ever to sell the building before that, they would talk to us, as in the town council, about it. But realistically, I'm just relieved that there is a body out there that has formed that is this sort of forward looking, that is getting in place so that if the opportunity arises, there can be that building can be brought back to what its original purpose was, which was for the people, a fantastic entertainment space. So I'm really enthusiastic about this. So basically we'd be sponsoring, it's kind of the launch of it, but at the same time the launch events would be free cultural events for the community for quite large numbers of people. So I think that's a benefit in and of itself, the free events. I forget what was the time frame again, Chris? Can you remind me what the...
We rather feared that in reflection, that the asking for sponsorship for a corporate event, which was our first launch event, might be a bit dodgy in some people's opinions, although all the money raised, as I said, goes to the community. So we're planning a major popular event, a party, party for the palace, probably a weekend in next spring, where we can do a variety of musical and other activities, artistic activities, to give a maximum publicity and start selling our shares. So the timetable would be, if granted the money, that we'd start planning it seriously and employing artists and booking venues and so on from now through till, and then the events would be sometime in spring 2026.
Councillor Furman.
Have Mecca Bingo gave any kind of indication or commitment that they would have, they would be willing to accommodate your project?
Not as yet. We are working on it, and this is a question we're putting to them to give, because one of the things we would love to do is to start promoting events using the upper part of that building, which is around what was called the ballroom area. That would require money raised to refurbish that area and space and make it available. But we want to get a sense from Mecca Bingo with any kind of partnership deal that they might be prepared to do, and at what cost, in time for a meeting in a fortnight's time. So we should get an answer to that.
Yeah, just FYI, there is this area upstairs that they're not using that they would be willing to refurbish, but for a price. So that, there's all sorts of potential scenarios, including literally cohabiting and using part of the building. They also, in previous meetings, they've said that if there was an event, you could use it for a music, there may be times but they would be willing to use it for a music event. But also the fact remains, while they're saying they're sitting pretty and they don't have no plans to, they don't want to leave, the fact is at any point, if it suits their business, they can up sticks, and then you've got 20 people who don't have jobs anymore and a dirty, great, big, amazing venue just sat there empty. So why Gaumont Palace Community Trust is so important is that they're the guys who are doing the planning for all of those different eventualities, so that we're not left with a sort of white elephant stuck in the middle of Taunton, that there's a plan to kind of say, right, okay, this is our opportunity. And the Arts Council, when we showed Darren Henley into the bingo hall, he was just like, whoa. I think they'd be they both said, Darren and Thingy Phil, they were like, when the time is right, you just, we can get all of the key national sort of funders down, just to argue among themselves who would be the most appropriate to kind of to help with the sort of any, restoration and whatnot, doodah. So yeah, I'm very positive about this one.
I've got a couple of reservations about the scheme. I think that the idea of the Gaumont Palace is absolutely fantastic. I'm totally on board with that existing again at some point. My reservation for this particular project is the fact that I know I think the break clause is something like 2028.
Yeah.
Right, but that's breakable by them only, not by the council, and they've shown no indication that they want to break it yet. Obviously, it's still some time to go, but their lease isn't up until, is it 2035?
Oh,
33?
they
30 something.
They're eligible to apply for an extra 5 years beyond 2020.
It's 2033. I think that's that's the extent of the lease. Beyond that break clause, it is 2033. Apologies. So my understanding is at the moment they have shown no indication that they intend to break that lease and could be there till 2033. And I appreciate that a project this big could take a really long time to get going.
It is. We're looking long term. This is a project, a huge project, which needs time to mature from our point of view and in real time because of the strictures of the tenancy and so on. So we need at least 4 years to collect enough money through major bids to the Heritage Lottery Fund and the Arts Council in order to be in a position to take over that building and do something with it as soon as it becomes available. So look at it in those terms. I know you as a council will have ceased to exist before that matures, and therefore it requires a leap of imagination and a benevolence really on your part to look kindly at this because of the time scale. But I think for the people of Taunton, that building could be so important that it's worth you taking that time to consider the future and you know, we're doing all the work after all at the moment, raising all the money. And that's fine. We're not asking the council for major funding for anything, just the seed money to start the process of
So in terms of the
we
money
exist.
you've asked for, I say I'm less keen on the corporate launch. So you're saying you're going to focus more on the community.
Yeah, entirely. We were only asking, I mean, we put aside, I think 200 from the, out of the 2,500 was put aside for the corporate launch anyway. So it was a very small part of the bid. And essentially, we're looking at spending this money on the public selling of shares and a major public launch in the spring, next spring.
Yes, have you confirmed all the bands and everyone?
Sorry?
Have you confirmed all the bands?
No, we haven't started that yet. That's why we're looking into this next spring. And this, I mean, we're still planning the event. We had the idea of a party on the green at the end of this month, which we were well advanced in planning for. Unfortunately, we were a few £100 short of what we needed to pay for it, and fellow members of the board, by a majority, decided this was our first venture into promotion of musical events. It was not good to start with a potential loss on the event, so it was voted down. So all our momentum had been directed towards that event on July the 26th. So we've had to pick ourselves up rather and find another plan, another timescale, and that's why we're at where we are, asking for funding for an event next spring. We still believe we've got plenty of time. We're not planning on a major band. We won't have the money for that. This will be local groups, probably, and we think there's plenty of time to organise that within this timescale.
Can we ask, so this is a launch and you're hoping to sell shares, so this will be part of that event is selling community shares in the trust, is that right?
Yes,
Do
absolutely.
you have a target for that event? How much you'd like to?
We would like 500 people at a, there will be a major event as part of the weekend, and we would like 500 people to be at that. And we think it reasonable that we will make a really good start at selling these shares over a weekend like that, and would hope to reach a figure of 5,000 or something in shares sold, worth of shares sold.
Sure. It'd just be good to know that if we are giving you seed funding, that there is a target to multiply.
Oh yeah,
that seed funding.
absolutely.
Aside from the fact it will be funding a community event, that is actually, it's going to get you some way towards your.
We have been assured by a Lottery Heritage Fund, by an advisor who works for them, that our project is well within the bounds of their scope. They think it's a very positive project and could see us bidding successfully for something in the region of £5 million towards the purchase and refurbishment of the building.
What does the initial money is it going to go towards? Because I'm assuming obviously that level of share selling is going to be such a small fraction of the.
Yeah, well, we will need a lot of advice and support in our major bids. We are not experts in that, and there is a whole, we've discovered there is a whole field of experts out there who are quite willing to give you very good support and guidance, and very successful it is usually, but they do need paying. So, you know, at £600 a day, whatever seed money we have would soon be swallowed up in that process. So, you know, that's the reality.
Just to follow up on that then, so I'm giving you a proper grilling, but I just feel like this is the application that had intrigued me the most, in that it isn't for something it's for a long-term project rather than something immediate. Do you have any kind of estimated costs for those kind of professional fees, the advice, the consultancy that you're going to have to tackle before you get to the, you know, the big money when the building becomes available?
I haven't got a figure in my head. We did work it out.
Yes, we do have, because remember the guy from the National Heritage.
Yes, he gave us a figure,
He
didn't he?
gave us a figure and a breakdown of what we would need to get
I just haven't got it in my
the
head.
bid. We'll need a lot of community support and a lot of evidence to show that the community is behind this in order for the National Heritage Fund to give us some money, enough money to, well, they give us 3/4 of the money that we need, and we have to raise the rest.
I have any other questions, comments? Queries that sort of answered my. Councillor Ellis.
I think this is a win-win situation because whatever else happens in the long-term future, we get a really good, party for the palace out of this as a really public event. Plus, if once you've got it in public consciousness and people, I mean, recently there was really successful handing over of lesser litter, and there was a team of really good people who, like, they similarly were selling shares or something else, and they managed to do it within the allotted time frame, and then so that shop has now carried on. So I'm guessing the thing about the shares is it's demonstrating the community buy-in for the purposes of future funders, and it's also raising a bit of money so that you can then go and help commission the people who will get you the big bucks. But even if all that comes to nothing, at least you get a really good event out of it. And I think it'd be great to engage with, I mean, at the corporate side, I think it's really important to engage with local businesses because they've got a real interest in us having a proper decent sized venue of that thing, and they've got a lot invested in there, so it's really important that they are engaged with as part of the the partying and the cultural wonderment. I think I'm quite relaxed about this because I sort of see it's quite similar to like the Grand Western Greenway project. We don't know how long that will take, but we decided to put some funding in to sort of help it along its ways, and this is, I think, a similar thing, except we also get a big party out of it.
Just aware, I need to double check with Will what we have left in our sponsorship pot, because I'm aware it's
1956.
1,956. So yeah, just to make the committee aware that
How much have we got left?
£1,956 are left in the sponsorship pot. Councillor Furman.
I think going back to my previous question, I'm still concerned that if Mecca say no, it kind of kills the project off.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Sorry, I'm just concerned that if Mecca say no, it kind of kills the project off.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
We've built that into our whole time frame. They may well ask for an extension beyond 2028, by which time hopefully we'd have set up our own music promotion business, as it were. This is what we're going to do. Either as a best option for events to take place within the Gaumont Palace, as I explained, in the ballroom area, which needs total refurbishment, or we use existing venues like Bar 61 to promote young bands in Taunton on a regular say every 3 months we put on a big event for local young bands and hone our skills, and also by making a success of them, start earning some income to oil the wheels of our big grant applications, etc.
Okay, that does make me feel a bit better that you've got another path to go down.
Oh yes,
Okay.
certainly.
So can I make a proposal that we award to this project whatever is left of that figure that you cited, what is actually left physically in the sponsorship pot, since this was definitely a sponsorship request, correct? So obviously we can't spend money we don't have slightly.
No,
So I would like to formally propose that we award them, was it
£1,956.
to this project?
That's a proposal. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Seelys. All those in favour of awarding that sponsorship money, raise your hands. That motion is carried. I'm abstaining from that one personally, but that was 4 votes for, 1 abstention, and Councillor Garside not eligible to vote on this particular motion. So
thank you very much. Thank you very much, committee.
Thank you for subjecting yourself to the grilling. I know.
I know, well, it asks to be grilled, frankly. I mean, it is a, you know, it is a big project, big idea, and it can be very daunting to imagine. Thank you all anyway, very much.
Thank you very much for your time. Item 14 on the agenda was to discuss the award funding, but we opted to vote that went on, so there is now no need for item 14, so we can move on. Item 15, to discuss the Arts Taunton return funds. Members to discuss the potential return of up to £2,500 in funding that was awarded to Arts Taunton on the 8th of April 2024, so that was last year, for an art installation on Castle Green, as the project has not yet started for over 12 months. Will, would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, so we awarded, let me get on spreadsheet. Yeah, we awarded Arts Taunton with this funding on the 19th of July, 19th of April 2024, to provide an art installation at Taunton Green, or Castle Green, sorry. When requested for their end of grant report, they said that they were not able to provide it as the project hasn't had sufficient funding yet to take place, and therefore it's held in a bank account. It hasn't been spent. However, the project hasn't taken place after holding the funding for well over a year.
Councillor Ellis.
Okie doke. So I may know a little bit about this simply because I provided a letter of, this is from me as Councillor Ellis, a letter of support to Arts Taunton to like funders, because they are still seeking funding now. They are bidding into the Arts Council. However, they had another application which was successful, which was the Taika application, which thank God was successful, which a lot of that investment is going into Taunton together. So they kind of had to hold back to get the Taika one sorted first, and I think the Arts Council were quite very interested, so I wouldn't like us to pull it, because that's all in train still, and that money was never going to be enough. It was the whole point of it was to demonstrate that the town council was backing it, in order then that a major funder would come in and say, oh well, it's got lots of local support, that which is a key criteria. So I think I would be very wary of wanting to pull that funding at this point while that whole project is still in train. And remember, it's with like this amazing, renowned, internationally famous artist, Emma Smith. It's a whole big shebang. It's just the timeline has gone a bit wonky, but that's partly been to our benefit, because another funding proposal they were prioritising, and it's something that's going to really benefit Taunton together. So I think we just need to keep up good comms with Arts Taunton in terms of where that project's at and how it's moving forward. Obviously, at a certain point, we'd have to say, well, you know, you'd have to pull it and then you'd have to reapply or something. But I would just be worried about the optics of that from an external funding point of view. If we were to do that, I think this was always one that's it's taking longer than one would like, but there are very good reasons for that. So I wouldn't want us to at this point hastily pull a rama, and I think we should just keep lots of lines of communication open, and just so that we know exactly where things are at, and can kind of monitor that. So I don't think it's like they haven't given up on it, as it were, because things were very much in train. It was just a kind of timing issue, I think, with the other grant application.
Councillor Furman, you had your hand up.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, we give out this grant funding because we want to fund actual projects going ahead, not just as a kind of nest bed for further funding, you know, not all the time at least. And I just feel like we haven't been given a timeline for when this other application will be going through or anything like that. So I don't think it would be wise just to let them hold on to it. If then, you know, if they're not going to do anything with it within a reasonable timeline that we haven't been given.
I'm minded to agree with you, and I think they've had 15 months and nothing has happened, and that's happened with other organisations as well. I think optics aside, I feel like if they haven't managed to do something in 15 months, and I appreciate that they have applied for other things, but I'm very happy for them to reapply for it again. But I feel like the timeline is still so vague. And then the other big things that crop up that they might apply for, it's a lot of unknowns. If they haven't managed to accomplish the task that they asked for the money for, then we really should have it back for all of the other organisations that have projects that are available now. That is my feeling. Councillor Ellis.
I think it may be beneficial. Could we ask then, I don't know, have an item on the agenda of the next thing, the next meeting, because we haven't got anyone from Arts Taunton here to say, how is this thing progressing? What's your best guess on the timeline? And I think we have given extensions in the past, haven't we?
We have done, but this is beyond the 12 months, and that was where their people have come back and said there was a very specific reason and there was a specific timeline. But I think if we said we're going to talk about it next meeting, we could say we'll get the money back and they can reapply for the next round if they are ready to go ahead and if they've got all their ducks in a row. I've been in a situation before where money has just sat in someone else's bank account and it's taxpayers' money, and I think it should be being used for the purpose that we set aside that money for. I'm uncomfortable with leaving it with them when they don't have a definite timeline and they don't have a definite date for this project to go ahead. There's too many unknowns.
So have we given them an opportunity to come, like written them one of these emails? I mean, we've done this in the past where we've said, we need you to set out now what the progress of this project is and what the, you know, if the timeline has changed, have we given them the opportunity to actually set out what the plan is going forward? Or are we just going to say, well, you haven't spent it, so we're pulling it, you'll have to reapply?
I'd say I gave them the opportunity by allowing them to complete their end of grant report, which should have taken place 2 months after their project end date. They came back with the response that they haven't been able to complete it because the project hasn't gone ahead. So they were given their opportunity.
Okay, they were given an opportunity
to voice exactly what had happened within their application. But did I email them to ask for transparency? No.
I'm very much minded to say that we request the return of the funds. If they happen to say, oh no, it's fine, this is definitely going to go ahead in August, that would be fine. Like, it sounds like that's not going to be the case, that application hasn't even gone in yet. So I'm personally minded to think that we should ask for that money back, but with no prejudice against future applications if they want to reapply for the same project. Once it's organised and it's firmed up a bit.
I'd like to second that if that's a proposal.
I suppose that was a proposal. I should have announced it as a proposal. But you're seconding that.
Yes.
I'm aware that there might be disagreements, so we'll put that to a vote. All those in favour of requesting the money at this point? Is 5. Those who would like to not request the money, Councillor Ellis, but that is 5 to 1. So a democratic process. We will request the funds. I would say if they come back immediately and say that the project is actually ready to go, please let us know. But otherwise, return those funds. And I hope they do get that project organised and we do get to support it in the future.
We haven't torpedoed it.
Hopefully not.
I would suggest if their grant application had already gone in and they would have already said they have the seed funding, that would be what's being considered by the Arts Council. I would hope they would have had their application in already. But moving on. Always contentious asking for money back, so I know it's not the fun bit, sorry. Item 16, donation applications. Members to note donations applications which have been distributed by Taunton Town Council. This is a delegated authority. The clerk can now do, but applications up to £250, and that is to Age UK Somerset. Well, do you have slightly more detail on what that is for?
Yes, so that's a £250 donation to take their volunteers out for a day to the Motor Museum, I believe. It was very well received and the volunteers were very happy and very grateful that we could provide them with that small donation to facilitate that.
Fantastic, and supporting another organisation in town, so it does keep it very much within the family. It's fantastic. And then item 17, feedback from previous applicants. Members to note the feedback from previous applicants. End of grants reports received from KICIC and also KICIC, the venue grant application. Eat Taunton, Friends of Comico Pond, Fuse Performance, Go Create CIC, Somerset Bus Partnership, Taunton Artistic Swimming Club, Taunton Gang Show and Taunton Street Pastors. All of those reports should be available for you to have a look at. If anyone has any comments or queries on those at the moment. Do I have someone to propose that we officially note submission of those? Councillor Firmin, seconded by Councillor Ellis. All in favour of noting those end of grant reports? Very much, that's carried. And that brings us to the end of the meeting. Thank you everyone for your time. Thanks to anyone who's watching at home. I look forward to seeing everyone again in another 3 months' time. Thank you very much.